Hi, I'm Denise Jaworski, the host of My Hospice Experience.
And I'm your co-host, Ashton Balliot.
We're very excited to bring this podcast to you, allowing you the opportunity to hear other people's hospice experience, the good, the bad, and the ugly. As Abundant Hospice puts their heart into these podcasts, one thing that would be extremely helpful for us is if you could like, share, follow, and subscribe. The more people that we reach, the more knowledge that allows us to empower more people into making good decisions for them. Hi there, Denise Jaworski here with Abundant Hospice, and I'm very excited. We have an awesome guest, Cindy Cantu, with us today to be able to share her hospice experience. Thank you, Cindy, so much for being a guest and coming and being bold and brave enough to share your intimate hospice experience story with your dad.
Yes.
So I'm just going to kind of we're just going to jump in this. I'm going to ask you some questions.
Thank you for having me.
Oh,
Yes, ma'am.
It's our honor. So how did hospice make a difference for your loved one?
It made a difference because I was able to make meaningful memories with my dad. As a nurse, a hospice nurse, I didn't have to do the care. I didn't have to think about the in and outs of a hospice. I couldn't even think about it, honestly. Even though I'm a hospice nurse, I couldn't concentrate like a nurse because that was my dad.
Yes.
And many people want to be the nurse for their dad. My family wanted me to be the nurse, but you can't. You have to be the daughter. You have to be the child. You have to pull yourself away and grieve and mourn just like everybody else.
Well, I know that when the decision was made that this was the direction you were having to go with your dad, that was very hard. For you, it was a conversation that we had with you because it was our concern.
Yes.
If your dad was going to go on our services because you did work for our hospice, making sure that you truly had the hospice experience as a daughter.
Yes, and that was hard. That is something that you take prideful and it becomes pride, like, I want to be the nurse. That's my dad.
Yeah.
But when you look back, you're grateful for having the moment with your dad and understanding that it came from a great place because you don't see it at the moment. You cry, you like argue with God. But I'm grateful today. I'm grateful for the moment when his last breath was there, you know?
So in hindsight from, you worked hospice many years prior to having to put making the decision to have your dad on hospice.
Yes.
Has it made you look at hospice any differently?
Yes. Actually, my father thought it was too soon for hospice. He says, don't you think it's too soon? And being on hospice and seeing him that he was still changing water heaters, cutting the grass, knowing that cancer is unpredictable, especially cancer. I think we wait too long. Mind you, my dad was cutting the grass, changing the water heater, and he died in 3 months. We wait so long. Nobody knows your end date but God.
That's right.
And it has made it different. When I talk to families, I tell them, like, you're making the right choice. There's always those conflicts. One sibling thinking they're giving up or throwing in the towel. And the other sibling is like, let's honor mom and dad's wishes.
Yeah.
Whose life are we prioritizing? The one who's going through the emotional distress or the patient?
That's very powerful.
We have to take ourselves out of the equation and be ready to comfort the person that needs the real comfort.
So as you're working with families now, being a hospice nurse for other daughters that are going through this journey with their dad or their mom, do you see you handling it differently now?
Yes, especially when there is the conflicts of care. Everybody thinks they need a special certification. They think, I'm not qualified to do this. I'm not a medical person. I've not been trained. And I have to tell them, I'm going to train you. A lot of it also happens when you have a dad and then the daughters doing the care. I've never seen my father's nakedness. You have to teach them how to honor the dignity, how to cover the body parts that aren't being cleaned while still maintaining care.
Yeah, that's hard, isn't it?
It is because, we bring to hospice comfort and dignity.
Yes.
And when your father has never allowed you to see them,
Yeah.
how do you do it?
Yeah.
You know?
Well, it'd be a very uncomfortable, I
It-
think, awkward place to have to be as a daughter.
Yes, yes. Yeah.
And I definitely think with a daughter, with the dad component of care.
And it happens more often than you think.
Yeah.
Father with daughter, daughter,
Yeah. Makes a lot of sense.
son with mother.
Yeah. I'm sure that you're able to guide them and also with us being able to provide, CNAs being able to go in and
Yes.
provide some of that completely can remove it, take it off of them. Where our CNAs are going in and taking care of the showers, taking care of changing the beds, the grooming. We get so many of our families that are like, Dad hasn't done X, Y, and Z because he is probably pride
Right.
and embarrassment that
Mhm.
they didn't allow
Right.
the children,
To
their
take part.
children to do it.
Exactly.
But then we can come in, and of course, we have several very good CNAs that are able to do this and keeping so much dignity in check.
It is. It's a beautiful part of hospice to have a CNA. Go in there. My father loved our CNA. He loved her, and they joke, and he says, "Look, I had to make my own bed." So you get both ends. So I really enjoyed that for him.
That's so awesome. Okay, what support did hospice give you and the family during this time?
Medications, comfort medications.
Okay.
I didn't, not just that. I didn't have to take my dad to the ER. I didn't have to take him to the doctor. If he had a UTI, when he had, an upset stomach, I'd call hospice and the nurse would come see him. I didn't have to, when he became bedbound, I didn't have to try to put him in a car and take him to the hospital. That was the best part ever. And I try to, sometimes people will say, like, what does hospice do? You don't come in here and take care of my family 24 hours a day. I said, but we come and check on your family, once a week and every day as time progresses. I said, where do you get that?
Yeah.
Where do you get that? That the nurse comes to you, an RN at that,
Yes.
has direct communication with the doctor. You don't
Yes.
have to wait for your appointment. You don't have to sit in a lobby. That was the best part.
You got basically an RN that's experienced in end-of-life care and many diseases
Yes.
that are tied to that is advocating not just for the patient, but for the family.
The entire family.
Yes.
So that's the beauty of care, centered care. It's not all about just the patient. You're encompassing the whole family, their
Yes.
needs, their spiritual needs. If they have like financial issues, there's a lot of worries. We have a social worker. If they need prayer, we have a chaplain.
That's
if it's
right.
a culture, issue or a spiritual belief, we honor those places and we bring them into our plan of care. We incorporate them.
Yes. It's a beautiful thing,
Yes.
right? So in your experience with your family and obviously you being the hospice guru for the family, did you get any resistance with your siblings when it came time?
I absolutely did.
Yeah.
When you're in the mess of the emotions, because that's what it is, you have a complex vast of emotions. You haven't even come to grips with the shock of the diagnosis.
Yes.
And then you're being told, you're barely getting used to your new normal. And then you're being told you're coming onto hospice. Now you got to get used to another new normal.
Yeah.
And, so all this is playing out in your siblings' minds. And you have pushback, like I have questions, I have answers, and they want to know, what are we going to do about this? Are we going to, do another test? Are we going to do another lab? Are we going to take Dad to get another x-ray? And, so all those questions, a lot of families have the same thing. They want to know when we're going to check to see how far the metastasis has gone, when we're going to do lab work again. And we're looking at comfort, guiding them through comfort and no longer a curative treatment. And that's the hardest for patients, the families.
Yes. So do you feel like that when hospice is introduced and it's the patient meets criteria and the hospice team goes in, do you feel like that they do a good job taking and advocating with the decision maker what is the best wishes or the wishes of the patient?
I think that before hospice comes in, in all honesty, I believe that the family feels like they're still living in the hope. They're still living in, the doctor said this and this and this, and you come in and the patients are like, but the doctor said if I take this or do this palliative chemo, I might live longer. So the hope is there.
Yeah.
When they come to hospice, the hope is still there. And so now, it was like as if, I'm sorry you failed. Stop at the table at the door. And now hospice is, the bad guy.
Yes.
And that's not true. It's not packaged right to where you're teaching the families, make meaningful memories.
Yes.
You don't have to do this palliative treatment because, for instance, my mother, she had a very aggressive melanoma. And they told her only 3 people in the entire United States get this type of melanoma.
Wow.
It's super rare.
Mm-hmm.
But they told her, but maybe you can live longer if you do this palliative chemo. She went into the hospital walking and talking and laughing. She came out in a wheelchair.
Mm.
Those were years and weeks and days stolen. Maybe not years, but those are the things that, the medical community has to be with the people, with the families.
Forthcoming.
Forthcoming.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because they, do you want to start that part over?
No, I think it was fine. No, it was fine.
Okay. And so, I think that is the part that the medical community has to be forthcoming. Is the palliative treatment, is it necessary? How much is it going to take from them? Because when you look at the meaningful memories that you want to make with your family, you don't have a lot of time, and then you get the families that are like, I don't want to see my loved one just asleep all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I completely understand where you're coming from. And I do believe that there is this taboo that when they come on to hospice that they're giving up.
Yes.
And I know that's a hard bridge in general for us to go over, and keep it in a positive light, because in all true reality, it's not our fault. It's not the family's fault. It's definitely not the patient's fault that they're at this part. It's part of life. We're all going to die. And being able to pass with dignity,
Yes.
surrounded by a team of angels is what I'd like to call it, that are able to guide and direct, because it's hard navigating the medical industry in general. Even just if something happens with me, it's like, oh, call this doctor, call that one. We got to wait for all these steps. And I just don't understand sometimes how our seniors even navigate that.
Exactly.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. And so that's why it's very important that as a patient, you talk to your family and you tell them, what are your expectations at end of life? Do you want to be resuscitated? How much do you want done? Because a lot of the dynamics with some of the families that I've encountered is that they don't want to let their family member go because they never spoke about it.
Yeah.
They never, mom never told them, don't resuscitate me.
Right.
And that's very hard. Very hard when you're like a single child taking care of 2 parents that are both bedridden.
Yes.
And you have to work a full-time job.
Yeah.
You carry a lot of guilt.
Absolutely.
So that's how we navigate that through using talking about, do you want, advanced directives.
You got to start over at, do you want?
As nurses, we bring about and talk to the families about advanced directives. That's how we navigate that. A lot of times people think if you even say the word funeral or hospice or death, that you just kind of created the avenue for them to die. Abracadabra, it's going to happen, you're going to die. Like, spoken words. But that's not true. We have to bring about those questions and speak about those topics, and we do that with advanced directives. Speaking about funerals.
Yes.
What are your wishes? Like, for instance, my father. When I became a hospice nurse, you hear about death all the time in funerals and how a lot of people are unprepared, and you think that you need to have the funeral paid for and all the services ready. You don't. You just need to have a name of a funeral home. Mm-hmm. You don't even have to have it paid yet. Mm-hmm. They take care of all the details. We just need a name. For my father, I asked him, tell me about your dream funeral. Tell me about what you want to see.
Yeah.
And, I had the shirt ready. I had the tie ready. When my mother died, he says, I want to wear this shirt, this tie. Well, when it came around to his funeral, he says, can I really tell you? And I'm like, tell me. And he says, I want all my pallbearers to wear the number 12. Everybody's going to wear Staubach, Roger Staubach jerseys.
Oh, Cowboys.
The Cowboys.
Oh, we had a Cowboy fan.
Yes.
That's awesome.
And then he says, all the jerseys that I own, I want them lined on both sides of the chapel.
So cool.
He wanted a quinceañera for a funeral, I'm like, oh my gosh. And this daughter did it. We pulled it off.
That's so awesome.
Excuse me. So, yeah, it was beautiful. Beautiful funeral.
What's even more beautiful is that as a daughter, you got that opportunity to where that stage was set for you to have that conversation with your father.
Yes. The one thing that we all have in common in every culture is death.
Yeah.
Is death. And it's important to talk about it. It's important to voice your wishes. Because when something happens to you in the unexpected, your family feels guilty for not doing enough or doing too much.
Or they're going to live with regret.
Yes.
And we don't want to leave that with our loved ones.
No.
Yeah. I mean, losing loved ones is one of the hardest things I think that we go through in our life journey.
We see that a lot. There's a reckoning. You have anger, you have depression, you have sadness, all these dynamics and emotional turmoils in our bodies. But the truth is that is already our own inner self feeling. You're feeling the passing of your family member.
Yes.
The anticipatory grief. You're already grieving. It's already happening, but it's happening for something that hasn't yet occurred yet.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes perfect sense. It's definitely a hard thing to go through. I mean, we deal with it quite often, but it doesn't make it any easier. And I just feel like that one of the hardest things is us communicating in a loving way to people that it's okay.
And when the nurse comes in and helps you understand the dynamics and walks you through the journey, the family's able to open up and make those memories. I go in there and I'm like, if you have visions, that's okay. Tell us about them. Because a lot of times the family's not able to partake in the memories of seeing the visions or seeing the family like I saw mom or I saw dad. Those are scientific things that can't be proven, of course, because they're phenomenons that happen, but we see them all the time.
Yes.
And I remember having my mother say, Jesus is in the room.
Wow.
Engaging with those opportunities to make memories and sharing them later.
Yes.
Those are beautiful things.
Yes, they are beautiful things. What advice would you give to families just beginning the hospice journey?
I would advise them to embrace the journey. Everybody has a set end time, not regulated by machines, not regulated by man, but only by God, only by their higher power. Embrace the journey, trust God, surrender their will over to God's will, and it will happen.
That's awesome.
According to God's plan.
That's very good advice, Cindy. How long have you been a hospice nurse?
I've been a hospice nurse since COVID hit.
Okay, so
it's been like over 5 years.
It's a long time.
Yeah,
how long have you been
before.
a nurse for?
Since 2012.
Long time.
Yeah.
Thank you for your heart. Thank you for everything that you do. You're an amazing hospice nurse. I'm so thankful to call you ours at Abundant because you've been with us for so long. And thank you so much. I appreciate you very, very much.
Thank you for having such a great heart for our community.
Thank you. I hope that Cindy's interview today and her hospice experience with her dad has enlightened you and helped you and maybe answered some questions that you were unsure about with hospice or maybe guilt you've carried with hospice. And if you are in a situation to where you need hospice care, do not hesitate in calling Abundant Hospice. We're always here for you, and we can be reached at 210-608-0081.
Every story leaves an imprint. Thank you for letting us share these moments with you. Until next time, may you find peace in the process and meaning in the moments that matter the most.